Welcome to another jam-packed MMA episode of the Kick 'em in the Head podcast. As always, I'm your host, Yao. And tonight, it's the PFL prediction show. The first PFL in Africa is happening this coming weekend on the 19th of July in Cape Town, South Africa. And I am so excited about it. So excited that we're running a competition, a kick 'em in the head competition that can win you tickets to the very first PFL here in Africa. So stay tuned to the show if you want to find out how to win the tickets that we have on offer. There are already winners, which we will announce at the end of the show, but do stay tuned to see how you can win the tickets that we still have available for this competition. So, with that said, shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to everyone who is joining us. We do have Empowerment Daily. Welcome, Empowerment Daily. I'm sure that you've joined the competition. Uh, yes, be yes, says Ashwin. And I know that you are definitely one of those that's entered the competition. So, looking forward to see who else has won tickets. Where can you get one? Leroy, all you have to do is send "Kick them in the head" screaming as loud as you can to our DMs on Instagram, and that enters you into the competition. So do enter for everyone who is watching. With that said, look, let's get into this prediction show. Uh, so today I'm looking at the PFL Africa card, top to bottom. We have a lot of great fights, but I'm going to start right at the bottom. Oh gosh, that's my picks. Let's see, where's my picks? Nope, that's Holloway Poirier. Oh, fail. I had to set up. Okay, well, looking into all the fights, as we can see, there's quite a few exciting fights on here. The main fight, we have Johnny Eblen versus Costello von Steenis. Co-main, scintillating Dakota Tacheva is coming out to fight against Sumiko Inaba. That's 14-0 versus 8-1. But let me just get into my actual picks so we can get this show started. Why can I not find my picks? There we go. My picks. Oh, internet, do not fail me now. Do not misbehave tonight, internet. But shout out to everyone who is in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. Oh no, death by internet. Okay, look, let's just go into it. So, first fight on the card, we have Juliet Uka versus Kaylee Niedermeyer. This is not within the PFL League series. It's a fight that's just happening between these two women. It's, I think, going to be a catch weight. There is no weight class for this one. Looking forward to this fight. Juliet Uka is 6-0. She's fighting out of Nigeria. Kaylee Niedermeyer is the African fighter fighting out of Johannesburg, if I'm not mistaken. And they both just signed to the PFL. Everyone here just signed to the PFL from the Africa region. I'm looking forward to seeing Juliet Uka coming back. She's been fighting out in, I think it's AKO, and Niedermeyer has been fighting at the EFC. It's going to be a very good fight, that one. Niedermeyer, in her last fight, I doubted her. I didn't think she was going to win. And she came out in scintillating form and absolutely beat Amanda Mongi out of Uganda, which was an absolutely great fight. So on this one, I think I'm needing Niedermeyer, but I need to find my picks. Oh my God, how can I mess up the very first prediction show of the very first PFL Africa? Oh, Leroy, help. I know you're there. PFL enter picks. Oh, there we go. Edit picks. Oh. When the blind see, they see. That means absolutely nothing. Drum roll as we go into it. Oh, that is very telling. Looks like I'm even on the wrong tab. Oh, how embarrassing. Oh, death by technology. Okay, wait. There we go. There we go. Shout out everyone listening. Thank you for the patience. And we are going to get into the card now, getting into the actual picks. Okay, so the first fight on the card, Juliet Uka. So, as much as Juliet is 6-0, and Kaylee's 3-2. I'm favoring Kaylee in this fight. I'm going to go with Kaylee Niedermeyer. The performance she put in at the last in her last fight against Rebecca Mongi was very impressive. She showed a lot of resilience. And I think she's going to manage to grind out the decision win against Juliet Oka, who is great, but she hasn't fought in the EFC in almost 2 years. So although she beat Crystal Van Beek and Mishka Lopsha, I think I'm going to give it to Kaylee Niedermeyer. I think she's just going to grind out a win against Juliet Uka. Then the next fight, we have Abram Babli versus Paul Emmanuel Ganaze. Now, if we have a look at here, we've got 5-2 versus 8-5. 8-5 fighting out of Western Europe. One from England, one from France. 29-32. Typology is going heavily on Babli, even though he's on a 2-fight losing streak in the PFL. And I think that might be because he's got extensive experience in the PFL and Bellator, even though he's come up against tough competition recently, whereas his opponent here, Paul Emmanuel, doesn't have such experience. He comes out of Hexagon mostly, although he did beat Adama Diop, who recently fought out at the EFC in South Africa, and he won his fight. So it's going to be a tight fight. But I'm going to go with the Typology community here. I don't know too much about these fighters, but I'm going to go with Babli in this fight. I think he's going to get the KO submission. It's heavily in his favor, so probably round 1. And that's how I'm going to make this decision on this fight, even though, I mean, he's 2 fights on the trot on the loss, but that's why they're probably giving him the sacrificial lamb in Paul Emmanuel, who hasn't had any experience in the PFL. Then the next fight, one fighter that we know very well here on Kick Him in the Head, Simbarasha, the Hawk Hokonya, 5-0 fighting out of Johannesburg, South Africa. The Hawk versus the Black Mamba, Franz Mlambo. Franz with a record of 15-6, very experienced fighter, 34 years old, fighting out of Johannesburg. Last fighter was to Kushid Kakarov, where he lost in the PFL due to ground strikes. He's a very experienced fighter in the PFL. Hokonya has only recently fought in the EFC and most recently fought a year ago. This is going to be a very close fight, especially as one of the first fights in the quarterfinals of the PFL. This one is tricky. Look, I'm going to back the Hawk. Not that I don't think the Black Mamba is going to do it, but, you know, Hawks fly, they catch the snake, they drop it, and the Hawk wins. So by way of favoritism, I think I'm going to go with Simbarasha Okonya. And also, I think the level he's been training at and the people he's been training with, mostly bantamweight champions, international champions, Nicholas the Saint Wende, former Brave FC bantamweight champion. I think it's given him the sort of insight that allows you to go in and defeat a fighter that has the amount of experience as Francis Mlambo fighting out of Dublin, Ireland. So I don't know. It's going to be a close fight, but I'm going to go with Okonya by decision. It's going to grind that one out. Then Abdullahi Kane versus Joffrey Holton. Joffrey Holton, we know fairly well. Joffrey Holton fought out in the EFC here in South Africa as well. He's fighting a 3-0 prospect in Abdullahi Kane. If we have a look here, he lost to big Anthony Morel in this fight, where Anthony Morel went on to then clinch the heavyweight championship of the EFC. And in this fight, he was not happy. He claimed strikes to the back of the head. But from there, he's gone on to 2 victories in the last 10 months against 2 opponents, 2 different promotions. And now he's fighting the 3rd promotion in 3 fights. Whereas we've got Kane, who's fighting, most recently fought out in AKO. And fighting out of Senegal, out of Morocco, from Senegal. This is a very tough one. Like I said, we know Joffrey Holton very well. I think I'm going to give it to Holton. I think his experience is going to just be too much for Kane. Out of Morocco, I think Joffrey's going to manage to submit him probably in the 2nd round. So I'm going to go with Joffrey Holton. The Typology community has gone the complete other way. I think I'm going to pick an underdog in this one. I think, shout out Joffrey Holton. I'm going to go with you in this one. This guy's an absolute prospect. He looks like he's a very dangerous man, but I think the experience is just gonna edge out Kane in this one. So I'm gonna go against the Tapology community. In this one, I'm gonna go with Joffrey Holton. Then the next fight is between Ashi Chitamba and Henny. Henny. Kareem Henny. Kareem fighting out of Canada and Chitamba fighting out of South Africa. 30 versus 33. Everyone's got Henny in this one. Chitamba in his last 5 fights, which has been over the last 5 years, has lost 3 times and only has 2 victories in his last 2 fights. One over Vince Bembe and one over Martin the Beer. Whereas we have coming on the 4-0 streak, Kareem. Wait, 4-0 streak? Okay, which means this was an amateur fight 5 years ago. They both they both had 5 fights in 5 years, so fairly inactive, both of them, which is very interesting. The Tapology community is going heavily in Henny's favor. However, I've seen Ashi Tsamba win by head kick, and scintillating head kick. And this is Kicking the Head podcast. But I think I'm gonna go with Kareem in this one. I think fighting out of Canada. Let's see. Yeah, decision. He's a decision fighter. All of his fights have gone to decision. But Chitamba, decision. Ninja choke, decision. I'm gonna go with the undefeated decision fighter in Henny by decision, which is pretty much what the Tapology community has gone with. Okay, then the next fight is between Teacher Awa versus Justin Clark. Let's see, Teacher Awa fighting out of Cameroon. From Cameroon fighting out of Nigeria, and Justin Clark fighting out of Pretoria, South Africa. Now, this is a heavyweight fight. Interesting one. If we look at the records here, we've got Teacher Awa, 5 fights in the last 3 years. Justin Clark, 2 fights, 2 wins, 2-0 versus 3-1. IMAF. So if I look at it, Teacher Awa has some level of an amateur experience, whereas Clark doesn't quite. Okay, so fighting out of EFC, 2 wins at EFC, although who he's beaten, those wins are great, but William Smith is 1-8. Boyke Bangu, that was an intense fight, but he won that fight, Justin Clark, very convincingly. I'm going to go Justin Clark on this one. Tapology community, once again, I picked the underdog. They're going with Teacher Awa. Look, I think they're thinking the power of Teacher Awa is going to play through. I'm thinking the submission game of Clark is going to play through, because I've seen what happens in the EFC and how those fights go. So I'm going to go with Justin Clark, the underdog in this fight, as far as Tapology goes at least. And I'm going to give him the win by submission in round 1. Now, the next fight, Shannon Van Tonder, the Terror, versus Bole Gogo. Now, before we continue, don't forget, if you are watching and you want to win tickets to PFL Cape Town to see all of these fights, do send us a DM on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. Follow the PFL on Instagram. Send us a video of you screaming, "Kick him in the head!" And that enters you into the competition. We have more tickets available, so please do enter. And for those of you watching, we will be announcing the winners who have already won the tickets we have at the end of the show. So do stay tuned for that. Now, back to the fights. Shannon Van Tonder versus Bole Godogo. Shannon the Terror Van Tonder. Ooh, what can we say about Sharon the Terror? So Sharon has had 5 fights in the last 2.5 years. He had those battles with Musa Setwape where he's come out on top once after the loss initially to Setwape 2 years ago. 3 wins. He's beaten the legend Ashley Calvert. Went to, I think it was Thailand. Lost in MMA out there. Look, I'm just going to get straight to it. I'm liking Van Tonder for this fight. I think the last Shannon Van Tonder I saw was a calm, collected Shannon Van Tonder, and a calm, cool, collected Shannon Van Tonder is very dangerous. How he turns up at the weigh-ins will determine how well he does in this fight. But then again, he's fighting an unranked fighter. If we look at the rankings here, uh, who's had what? Ooh, 5 fights in the last 5 years, not very active. He is on a 3-fight winning streak in his professional career, beating Dylan Swanepoel, who's an 0-0, beat Mafisa Ngoma, who's 0-0, and then beat Robert Zumbue, who's now 2-4. So, look, honestly, Shannon Bantonda, I don't even see this going to decision. I think Shannon maybe pieces him up in the first round and ends it. So I'm going to go Shannon Bantonda for that fight. Now, this one is another very exciting fight. Mind you, all these fights are in the PFL regular season quarterfinals. That's what we're talking about right here. They do have their regular fight nights, fight night fights later on the card, but these are all in the quarterfinals. Mikhail Grgoe versus Maxwell Jantunana. Now, if you do not know who Mikhail Grgoe is, Google Mikhail Grgoe head kick. Mikhail Grgoe, let's get into the stats. Mikhail Grgoe fighting out of France. This loss here to Ismail Mashraf is one of the most comical head kick losses you will ever see. Look that head kick up. It is on our page. Do follow us Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Check out our shorts. But this one is why I'm looking forward to this fight. From that loss, he's gone on to have 3 victories. He's currently 6-2, fighting in the heavyweight division. Now he's going up against Maxwell Jantunana. He's had 5 fights in the last 2.5 years. He's fought out in UAE, won championship, and now he's in PFL. Now, when I first looked at this fight, I thought, coming across from one championship is not necessarily the easiest. It's come into PFL, completely different structures, different types of fights. But Nana so far has done well. But Grgoe is highly experienced in the PFL. He's had only 2 fights in the PFL. First one he lost, and then he got canned. Obviously, after that loss, then he came back with a win against the 5-7. If I look at the victories here, I think. But Nana's fought cans. Look, I'm not gonna belabor this any further. I think I'm gonna go with the fighter that has fought out in one championship and shares my name, Jantunana, by decision. It's gonna be a slugfest. These boys are gonna smack each other, but Leonidas will come up on top. Sorry, Mikhail Grgoe, this one's not for you. The next fight, don't forget, if you are watching, the competition is still live. Send us a video of you screaming, kick him in the head as loud as you can on Instagram. DM us. That enters you into the competition if you are following us and PFL Africa on Instagram, and subscribe to us here on YouTube. Next fight is Nkosi Ndebele versus Mahmoud Atif. Nkosi, the king Ndebele versus the golden boy. Nkosi is the former bantamweight champion of Brave. He recently lost to Nicholas, the Saint Wende. Like I said, Sibarache Hokonya trains with Nick Wende. He defeated Nkosi 6 months ago to claim the bantamweight championship at Brave FC. But Nkosi's 8-3, a phenomenal fighter. He's going up against Mahmoud Atif out of Egypt, who's been fighting out in UAE Warriors mostly, and he's had 5 fights in the last 3 years. It's a tricky one. When you come off a loss, it's difficult, and when you're on a win streak, you've got the confidence. But I think I'm going to go with the king, Nkosi Ndebele. I think his battles with Shorty Torres, his war with Nick Wende despite the loss, and just how he carries himself into a fight, the mindset, the training, I'm going to go with him. I think Atif looks great. I mean, UAE is not an easy promotion, and he has been very active. But I think I'm going to give it to him. If I look at the people he's fought versus the people and the records that Nkosi's fought, his opponents, much more experienced. So I'm going to go with Nkosi Ndebele because he has faced much more experienced competitors and is a former champion, Brave CF champion. Then we leave the tournament quarterfinals. That's the Africa tournament quarterfinals. The winners from here go on to the semifinals. The winners from there go on to the finals, and then they would crown the African champion of PFL. That champion would then go on, obviously, to compete in the World Series. So those champions would then go on to compete in the World Series. So definitely look out for these fighters. All of them are eligible to get there. Look, I've got my money on a few fighters here, but let's see how it pans out. Getting into the main card. Now we're looking at the fighters that are out here competing competing the pro MMA card of the regular season for PFL. First fight, Corey Anderson versus Dennis Golstov. Oh, I didn't tell you guys how the community went in these two fights. Oh, my bad. So in the Nana fight, everyone's gone Nana. Okay, it wasn't just me, but they've gone Nana by KO. I've gone Nana by decision. It's heavyweights. You know what? I'm with the community. KO round 2. Everyone's gone in the belly by KO. I'm with them, but I think Atif might present a little bit more of a problem, and it's not going to be a KO. It's going to be by decision. That's how the community went in those two fights. Then we have Anderson versus Golstov. Everyone's gone Golstov. When I first saw this fight, I thought Corey Anderson, but when I looked at his recent record, and if I look at Golstov's recent record, it's not the same. They're the same age. In the last 3 years, Anderson's fought 5 times. In the last year and a half, Golstov has fought 5 times. In there, he has a loss to Renan Ferreira. His only loss is to Renan Ferreira. And if you know who Renan Ferreira is, he's the guy who challenged Francis Ngannou and got brutally finished. But the fact is, he got up there to at least face the baddest man on the planet. So to lose to Renan Ferreira, I mean, punch to hammer fists, that's not a big issue. Like in the last 5, fighting out of Russia, and if we look at his last 5, he's fought some of the top light heavyweights in the PFL: Linton Vassell, Thiago Santos, Tim Johnson, and Oleg Popov. Very diverse fighter, so I'm definitely going to go with Golstov by submission in round 2. The community has gone with Golstov by TKO. Okay. If you look at Anderson, just to, I guess cover why he's not my pick at least. Ryan Bader, he beat Ryan Bader, but that was 3 years ago. Then he went into a draw with Vadim Nemkov. Heck of a fight. Then after the draw, they rematched. Nemkov won that fight by decision. Then he went on to beat Phil Davis. Great, tough fight. Then he went on to beat Carl Moore a year ago. But I think Golstov's momentum, these 4 fights, these 4 wins, I think that's really what's going to carry him over the line. And the community and I are in sync on that fight. Then the next fight we have is between Makashirib Zainukov and Takeshi Izumi. Now, Takeshi Izumi is fighting out of Japan. Zainukov is fighting out of Russia. 11 lightweight in Russia, 21 lightweight in Japan. The community is going all in on Zainukov. When the community goes all in, that's usually when it's a bit of a tricky fight. But let's look at the stats. So Izumi's fought 5 times in the last 2 years. They both fought 5 times in the last 2 years. Let's look at the competition. Yeah, Zainukov has fought like some top guys. He beat someone who's 44 and 25. Dang it. Does he even MMA at this point? Let's see. Okay, look, I don't know why the community is so heavy, but I'm gonna go with the community on this one. I think if I look at the fact that he's been out in UAE Warriors, then he's gone back to Russia, then he's won in PFL versus Izumi's been fighting out in Ryzen, and before that in a promotion called Deep, which is then a regional promotion. The experience is definitely the way of Zainukov, and that's probably why the community is so heavily in Zainukov by decision lightweight. I'm gonna buck the community as always. Community, let's see what happens, but I'm gonna go with the round 1. What does he finish with? Let's see. Decision, injury, decision. Okay, decision it is. If you're a decision fighter, you're a decision fighter. It is what it is. Okay, so that's my pick there. Then someone we all know, and he was out in Cape Town this week, enjoying the waves in the mountain. AJ McKee Jr. is up against Ahmed Magomedov. Magomedov fighting out of Russia. McKee fighting out of the United States. 29 and 30 years old. McKee is 1 loss in his last 5. Magomedov is one loss in his last five, but on a one-fight winning streak, 22-2 versus 11-1. 5 fights in the last 4 years, 5 fights in the last 2 years for McKee. Let's see his competition: De Souza, Sydney Outlaw, Clay Collard, and he recently lost to Paul Hughes, who we know was very emphatic after that win. And the last 4 years, Magomedov has been fighting mostly out in Brave, then he was in Bellator, and then he won recently against Nathan Kelly by submission. So he's a submission decision. I'm gonna go with McKee by decision, and the community agrees. McKee by decision. They are of the same light. I agree. Okay, then the co-main event between Dakota Dacheva and Sumiko Inaba. Look, I'm not even gonna I'm just gonna start with my pick. Round 3 submission for Dakota. So we know what Dakota's been doing out in the European scene. She won the PFL Europe last year, and that's why she's here in the women's flyweight division. That's why she's now the co-main against Sumiko Inaba. Now, if we look at who she's fought, she's been fighting in the PFL. So the last year and a half, she's had her 5 fights PFL. This is how she got to the point of winning it. And she beat some very, very interesting names. And in the finals, beat Talia Santos. And we all know Talia Santos and what she brings to the table. And that was a great fight too. Inaba is former Bellator, has fought out in PFL as well once. Look, why Dakota Dacheva? Simply because I know how she fights. I've seen her fights. I've seen her wins. I've seen how she wins. She's got the speed. She darts in and out. Sumiko, more of an American. She's more of a grappler, but I don't think Dacheva is gonna let her get to that point. So for me, if I look at who she's beat, the age, 26, 34, she's taller. Dacheva's taller. The stats tell me Dacheva. I've seen Dacheva fight. Sorry, Sumiko. This one's not going to be yours. Co-main event in the bag. Time for the main event of the evening. And this one is a very exciting fight. To everyone listening, don't forget, we are about to announce the winners of our Kick 'em in the Head PFL tickets. We have tickets for the PFL Cape Town. Winners about to be announced. But let's get into the co-main before we announce who has won the tickets. You still have a chance to win. You can send us you saying "kick him in the head" as loud as you can on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. Follow PFL Africa on Instagram. Subscribe to our channel, and you enter the competition. Now, the main event of the evening: Johnny Eblen versus Costello von Steenis. Costello von Steenis. So as we see there, the community is going Eblen by decision. Why? Because Johnny Eblen is undefeated, 16-0. We can call him right now maybe one of the greatest middleweights to do it. Will he come over to UFC? We don't know, but right now he's defending his Bellator title at PFL. And if you don't know why he's defending his Bellator title at PFL, that's because, and why we have so many Bellator fighters, that's because PFL bought out Bellator, sort of discontinued Bellator, but kept their belts. So now all the Bellator fights are in the PFL. So it's more of a Bellator titles that they have. And then there's the PFL structure where you win until you become a world champion. You win through your regions. So that's how they sort of structured it, is that you then have Bellator titles in the PFL, and then you have world titles in the PFL. Fantastic model. Let's see how it goes, if they can overcome the UFC. But back to the fight. Johnny Eblen, Costello von Steenis. Love Costello. Why? Because he has one of the best head kicks in the PFL. I think it was against Linton Vassell that he got that head kick a few years ago. Knocked him out cold. Perfect head kick. He's also beaten Fabian Edwards. He was Fabian Edwards' first loss. If you don't know Fabian Edwards, that's Rocky Edwards. That's Leon Edwards' brother who fights out in PFL. The community's gone very heavily with Eblen, giving von Steenis a very, very low chance of doing this. Look, I think when they say Johnny Eblen is one of the best to ever do it, they're not mincing their words. I think he will take it. He will retain his Bellator middleweight title. He's been doing it for a very, very long time. He's he's a great fighter. So for me, I'm gonna stick with the champion here. I'm gonna go with Johnny Eblen. I think he does it by decision. You know what? I don't think by decision. I think he's out to prove why he is one of the best middleweights in the world. He's not gonna hug fest it. He's not gonna anchor lie of it. He's not gonna. Okay, let me not mention any more names. But I think he's out to prove something. I think once Steenis is also looking to prove something as well, to say, well, this guy's undefeated and I'm taking his O. I don't think he's gonna be fighting for a decision fight either. I think because both fighters have something to prove, this fight should end, and I'm going to go with round 3 as to when it ends. Now let's lock in those picks. Everyone watching, if you want to know how I'm doing with my picks overall, look, my picks aren't the best. Those are my PFL Africa picks, but you can follow me on Tapology. Let's have a look at my overall picks and how I've been doing on Tapology. There we go. I'm currently sitting 124 out of 78, 62% approximately. Yes, I'm rounding up in terms of my accuracy. So I'm not too bad. Let's see how this card pans out. Hello, cell phone advertisement. And that is our prediction show for PFL Africa. Now it is time to announce the winners of the show to everyone listening. Let's get it. Let's go. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. I am going to have to turn to my adjudicator to help me out with exactly. And shout out to everyone in the chats, by the way, before we get to the winners. We've had a great chat. I wasn't able to attend to your chats because I was watching I was going through the predictions. But shout out to everyone in the chats. Ashwin, Employment Daily, thank you for joining us. Guerrero, thank you for joining us. Yao Yubua, my doppelganger, thank you for joining us. Let's announce those winners. Now, adjudicator, can I please have the names of the winners? The first winner of the competition is, drumroll, Ashwin Hendricks. Ashwin, in the chats, you are definitely one of the winners of the competition. We will be sending through your tickets on Instagram. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sending in your submission. Well done. We loved it. Kick him in the head. Absolutely loved it. If you want to send us the actual video so we can use it in the compilation, that would be amazing. And drumroll, the second winner, adjudicator. Who's our second winner? Second winner, all the boys in the chats, all the winners in the chats. Let's go, Empowerment Daily. You are one of the winners of the competition. Thank you so much for sending in your geez, how's it? Thank you for sending in your video. Completely blanked out there. Thank you for sending in your video. Much appreciated. You're one of the winners. Once again, kick him in the head. Absolutely love it. We will be using this in a compilation just to show that we have winners out there. And I hope you guys really, really enjoy yourselves at the event at PFL Africa on Saturday. Do we have any other winners? So shout out to Guerrero in the chats here on YouTube. Guerrero, apparently we have received your entry. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Sheesh. We have received your entry, but we have not received your video. Don't need to get your video of you screaming, kick him in the head. Don't forget you have to be following us and PFL Africa and subscribe to our channel here on YouTube, and then you can win that last ticket. So please get that in because we do still have tickets available. To everyone watching, don't forget you can like, comment, and subscribe. Kick him in the head on all platforms. You can enter this competition on Instagram, through Instagram, DM us on Instagram with your video, with you screaming, kick him in the head. Follow us, follow PFL Africa, subscribe to this channel. And I think that's about it for our PFL Africa prediction show. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm looking forward to watching the fights on Saturday, honestly, and seeing how my picks and my predictions come up. And more importantly, I'm very happy to see that Africa is gaining a foothold in the MMA world and growing from here. So shout out to everyone who has watched us live, everyone in the chats. If you're watching on playback, like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you want to see here on the channel. Until next time, don't forget to kick it.